Hi, I'm Joe Catrombone, CEO of the Stewart Martin County Chamber of Commerce, and I'm pleased today to have John Daly as my guest. John, I have Senior Care Authority,
Yes.
and so we're going to talk about that a little
Okay.
bit. You joined in September.
I did.
Yeah,
I joined the chamber in
and welcome
September.
and thank you.
You're welcome.
We're glad to have you. Now, I asked just for a little synopsis, and I think Amy may have written this. I don't know who did.
Okay.
So I just asked for a little byline, so
Sure.
just something to talk about. And so here it's, and I kind of smiled when I read it, and it says, John helps people find their last landing spot.
Oh boy, yeah.
Now, is that the cemetery, or
Well,
is that all?
I didn't write that part, but no. So basically, with Senior Care Authority, a family will contact me, and if they're looking for a new home for their loved one, it could be a parent oftentimes, I am helping them find like an independent living community, assisted living, memory care. Because they may have discovered in independent living they want more socialization, more activity, and if it's assisted living or memory care, they're probably just finding that the services maybe they're getting at home aren't quite enough anymore, and that they're basically looking for that extra support in the community. So basically what I'll do is I'll go in and meet with the family, and I will do what we call a needs assessment. And with that needs assessment, I'm looking at things like, what are their preferences for living style? What are their finances? What are their medical needs? And based on that information, I'm able to narrow it down to 2 or 3 communities that I feel like would best suit their needs. And because I've visited probably about 20 different communities at this point in time, so my territory will cover from Hope Sound up to Sebastian. And basically with those communities, I've had a chance to meet with the sales department and get a real sense of what the community provides. So when I meet with the family, I'll be able to kind of, help them understand what services, what social activities that they're going to be able to take advantage of in that community. So what I will do, I will actually go on a tour with the family to the community, and we will tour with the sales department, and just so for the family, for themselves, can see firsthand what the community looks like, hear about the activities, hear about the events, hear about what medical services that they might be able to provide for their loved one too. So I'm excited the opportunity to do this and be a part of people's lives like that.
And we all know, especially boomers, people are living longer.
Yes.
And it's really difficult. I have a good friend. He's actually the grandfather of my nephew's wife.
Okay.
And he's in Palm City in never remember the name, Oaks. Anyway.
Okay.
He's 100.
Oh wow, amazing.
The only thing that physically he needs is a walker.
Okay.
His mind is just as sharp. I play 500 run with him. I go once a
That's
week to visit
great.
him. He beats me half the
That's
time.
awesome.
And he doesn't forget anything. He's got his mind is sharp.
That's
but
great.
There's also people living there that have their own cars.
Yeah, which is absolutely
Couples.
Yes, fantastic. Yeah.
And I've had lunch and I've had dinner with them many times. Their food is wonderful.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
really great. So I mean, I can understand. For me, I couldn't see myself living like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I have 2 acres and I have
Oh,
a garden.
this is beautiful,
and,
yeah.
So
Yeah.
but I mean, eventually, who knows? It could come to that.
Yeah.
But it's amazing what they provide.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And what? A lot of families have similar fears that, it's like, well, I like my independence, I like my home, as we all do. But there might come a time and place that for different social reasons, medical reasons, that they might need to make that change. And I've worked in retirement communities myself for the last 23 years between Florida and Boston. And I will speak to so many family members that talk about how much better their family member did and thrived because they weren't isolated anymore. They had transportation services where maybe they stopped driving at that point in their life. So I see where what you're saying in terms like, oh, I hate to lose that sense of my home.
Yeah.
But they create a new home with the people that they meet
Well,
there.
and sometimes you just don't have a choice physically.
True.
So
True.
Walter was living in his own home until a few years ago. His wife was younger,
Okay.
much younger than him, and then she passed.
Okay.
So here he is in this 10-acre
Oh,
farm.
piece of land, yeah.
Yeah, and so
that's a lot.
he didn't, but he didn't object. He went willingly.
All right.
He went to look at different
right.
places, and he loves it.
Oh, good.
And he's so funny. All the women know him
That's
because
awesome.
he's one of the only men that's, I guess, mobile for one thing.
Yeah.
He can walk around with
Sure.
with his walker, and they have a game room, and he's in there plays cards, and a lot of times I'll go in and I'll sit down and play with them, or else
Oh, that's
he and I
excellent.
play. Yeah, so
Oh,
but he
fantastic.
loves it.
Yeah,
And it's amazing. And I say he's right on top of things. Like there's not a time that I'm not there because usually it's late in the afternoon that a nurse doesn't. There's a knock on the door and a nurse comes in with his
Sure.
pills.
Sure.
And I'll say, "Oh, I got this one." He knows exactly what pills to take and everything.
All right.
But
Good for him.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. I'm going to tell you.
No, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I always say, listen, if I have to lay in a bed with tubes in my nose,
Oh,
or anything,
yeah.
pull a plug.
Yeah.
You know, I told my kids, my wife, everybody knows.
Yeah.
If you don't pull a plug, I'll come back and haunt you.
Yeah, yeah. That's
So-
not good.
So,
But what's nice about working with Senior Care Authority that I've appreciated, so I've been with Senior Care Authority for the last 6 months. Now, Senior Care Authority has been around since 2009, but we are new to the Treasure Coast. So basically what I'm trying to do is just help people understand that live in this area, what Senior Care Authority is, the services that we provide, and what I've enjoyed about it is it's very hands-on, like to actually be able to meet with the family, go on tours with the family, and just to find that support. And we also have a program called Peace of Mind. So if the family chooses to take advantage of my services, they can pay me to go in for the first month, once a week for an hour, just to visit with the family member that moved in. Because a lot of times families are up in New York and
oh
New
yeah,
Jersey,
oh for sure.
don't have the accessibility to see,
Right.
visit with mom and dad, and just to see how that adjustment is, because it's usually that first month that becomes the most challenging for the individual. So I take it as an honor to be able to go in and be able to provide that type
So
of
tell me
support.
tell me how it works. If I have a parent that I know needs to go into assisted living
Mm-hmm.
or whatever, so I call you.
Yes.
Now is there a fee?
Great question. So there's no cost to the family. So when I place an individual or a couple into a retirement community, the community pays my commission. So what the beauty is, the family can contact me. They don't have to worry about, it's like, oh my gosh, how much is this time going to cost me on the phone, visits, tours. There is no cost to the family. So that is the benefit.
So the community
The-
gives you a fee.
Correct. Correct. So the retirement community where they move into pays me a fee, and that's how I'm able to.
And that's
make it
only
happen.
if you were to choose three. Would you say I have 3 places I want you to look at?
Based on the assessment, yes.
Okay, so would each of those places pay you a fee because you brought them, or they have to end up living there before you get your fee?
Correct. They actually
Okay.
have to end up living there
Okay.
for them.
Okay, and the reason, and trust me, I'm not by no means thinking that it's a scam, but that
Yeah.
could be a scam. If every place you took somebody, you got a fee.
Oh
or
yeah,
you were
no,
taking
yeah,
the
no,
10
yeah,
places,
yeah,
you know,
no,
just
yeah.
so that's
Yeah, no,
really
that's
good.
that's why it's strictly. And so in my visits with the communities, the marketing and sales department executive directors have been wonderful to welcome me and just to understand what our services are too. For some of them, Senior Care Authority is new, so it's a lot of educating and making people aware of our presence in the community and the resources that we are. So I've really enjoyed meeting people in the Chamber of Commerce, and amazed at how many events there are to be a part of.
we do a lot of it.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. And so I moved to Stewart, so it's one of the reasons besides having the business.
From
here in the
Boston?
So I moved from New Hampshire and Boston area. I lived there for 31 years. Worked in a retirement community there for 17 years. Moved to Florida 4 years ago and worked in retirement communities in Boca and Fort Lauderdale. So recently moved up here to be a part of Senior Care Authority, and It's been wonderful.
Yeah, it's a great place.
Friendly people.
Yeah. It, and this may be a loaded question. I don't mean it to be, but I'm curious to know from your previous experience, how do we the Treasure Coast, because you go from up to Vero, right?
Correct.
So the
up to
Treasure
Sebastian,
Coast,
yeah.
how do we stack up? Have we got enough facilities? Are they good? Are they on par with what everybody seems to think everything's better up north? Are we on par here?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's great to know.
I'm actually was surprised to see how many retirement communities there are in this area, and they're beautiful communities. Some are more of like that home-like feel, and some have that kind of that elegant, look and feel, but all just very clean and organized, and just people are friendly when you walk in, which is huge because my family, mom and dad moved into a retirement community a number of years ago, and you're going to look for those things like how are the staff? Are they friendly? Are they courteous? How's the response time in terms of taking care of my parents' needs? And so I'm able to kind of, from a personal level and professional level, kind of take a look at that when I go and tour myself, but especially when I meet with the families. So when I do tour with the families, what I'll be doing is meet with them afterwards, and I'm not telling them it's like, oh, you need to take this, to move into. I say, based on what you've seen, what you feel like your needs are, and what we've talked about, which community do you feel like is going to best suit you? So it's up to the family and the individual.
But you give them an option.
Oh, absolutely. It's their choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Based on the needs assessment, I will narrow it down to maybe 2 or 3. But if they want to see more, then we can go do that. But usually we can get it down to 2 or 3 that they can visit within the geographics as well that they'd like to go to. So that's critical that they're a part of that process.
Are you at liberty? I'm just curious. Are you at liberty to say an average of a monthly cost for say for an individual to go into a home like that?
Sure.
And
Well,
I know it depends on
yeah.
nursing services, things of that
Correct.
nature. I'm just looking for sort of an
Correct.
average
Correct.
number.
And it can vary from independent living to assisted to memory care. So it can average maybe $2,800 to $5,000. And again, it depends on what type of services and care that they're going to
Now,
a month.
Is there any coverage for that? Does it Medicare or is there insurance coverage? Is there anything like
Yeah.
that would help pay for that part of that cost?
Yeah, like you have for assisted living, for example, if you have a veteran or a spouse of a veteran, the VA benefits will help cover a certain amount. And again, that they do an assessment. It could be $1,300 a month that they will help pay for the coverage for.
So they offset some of it
offset
anyway.
some of that,
Yeah.
right?
But-
And what's nice is I'm part of my networking and meeting the different professionals in this area is if someone says, John, I'm not really looking for a placement for mom or dad right now, but maybe 6 months, a year down the road, but I'm just looking for some direction and advice how to get the right type of services. I can act as a consultant. So if I'm acting as a consultant, there is a fee for that, but I can direct them and help them after doing a needs assessment, put them in touch with a VA specialist, put them in touch with long-term care insurance providers, Medicaid, Medicare. If they need to apply for Medicaid, I can put them in. I have a network of people that I've met with and visited with that we're creating a working relationship where I can help provide a consultation with the professionals that they might need help with. If it's looking for home health care services or home care services, there's so much support out in the community. It's really coming to this area reassuring to see how much support there is.
Well, that's why your service is so important, because you could spin your wheels forever and not know what agencies to go to, what's available and what's
Correct.
not. And you've got that background
Correct.
to cut through all of the
Right.
road blocks, so to say, and get right
Right.
to the crux of the matter. So your service is that's invaluable for
Yeah.
people to.
Even elder law attorneys, that's critical for families trying to figure out the trust account and how to manage their finances and what legal issues or matters may come up. So I can develop a relationship with that elder law attorney that specializes working with older folks and then steer them and give them that contact. person to meet with.
Well, John, you're providing a great service, and we're glad to have you in our community.
Thank you. I'm excited.
We're winding down here. Is there anything we missed that you might want to talk about?
Another program that we actually are providing is called Beyond Driving with Dignity, and that's where a hospital or family member might call us like, you know what, I'm really concerned about mom and dad's driving abilities, but I don't really want to have that conversation with them.
Oh, I know. I had to go through that.
Oh, and we all have at some point. So what I'm able to do, family contacts me, and I can meet with the individual they have concern with, and it's a written and verbal kind of talking through exam, and just to kind of assess. We're not there to say, no, you shouldn't be driving anymore. Take your keys away.
Yeah.
But I will share, based on these things, I can make some recommendations. Things like not driving at night or not driving in unfamiliar areas or when it's raining. But I can do an assessment, and it's still up to the individual and the family, what they do regarding that. But the individual can see tangibly, it's like, okay, so maybe there's some legitimate concerns that my son or daughter have, and maybe I need to look at that a little closer.
A lot of people don't, you don't know it until you're faced with it, and then you're behind the eight ball because you don't know where to go, what direction to go, how do I handle this,
Right.
what should I do? So again, and look, we're in an area. Well, I think it's everywhere.
Yeah,
With
it
the
is
boomers
everywhere.
aging, and we're
Correct.
all living longer, and there's
Correct.
more and more need
Yeah.
for this type of a service.
And
so
to your point, Joe, unless you are faced with it, lots of times you're not prepared for it.
who thinks about it?
Who thinks about it
Yeah.
until it comes and hits you personally?
Yeah.
You're not really thinking about those
Yeah.
things or planning accordingly.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to be a part of this. Yeah.
Well, John, thank you so much.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you for being on the show, and I look forward to networking with you in the
Absolutely.
future. I hope I don't have to use you too soon.
Yeah, no, you're good. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.